So if Sam Bradford were to miss a few games next year, would Chase Daniel keep the Philadelphia Eagles afloat in a potential playoff chase? Sorry, I had to do it. That's one of the many topics of discussion today. Mike Owens, Jeremy Burton, they're both here. And before we get started, you guys have to check out PhillyInfluencer.com. You got to do it. It's the best website out there. Keeps you up to date on all the Philadelphia sports topics. I'm part of the team now. And in the description box below, I'm going to provide you a couple links to my work the past week or so. I got a Howie Roseman column. I got a Chase Daniel column that I just wrote the other day. So keep tuned. After the show, I'll provide the links below. The other thing on the agenda, there's a draft party coming up. Bleeding Green Nation is teaming up with Philly Influencer. It's going to be the best draft party in the history of the universe. You better goddamn believe it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. And there's going to be a lot of beer on tap. And it's going to be delicious. Nick's Roast Beef on Cotman Avenue. You got to show up. Nick's Roast Beef. I mean, that roast beef is delicious, tender, melts in your mouth. It's better than sex. So make sure you guys show up that night. I'll be there. The Bitter Birds are going to be there. Mighty E-Rock's going to be there. Sean Brace is going to be there. The whole Philly Influencer team. So stay tuned and check in. There will be stuff on my Twitter. So, yeah, show up. All right, let's get into the show today. Well, let's bring the fellas on. How you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing good here. Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. Lucky the Irish tomorrow. And in addition, to St. Patrick's Day, well, it's the official start of the NCAA tournament tomorrow. So I know that I'm pumped up about that. This is one of the greatest times of the year. This is when people pretend to be sick and they take off work. They have to make up some excuse. So can't wait for it.
Oh, by the way, that draft party is going to be rocking. I cannot wait for it. It's right before my little mini vacay weekend getaway, so it's going to be perfect. This is a great time of year. March, you got all these free agent signings that happened recently. The Flyers are trying to make a playoff run. You got March Madness starting tomorrow. It's St. Patty's Day. I mean, I know I'm going to be leaving work early on Friday because I think Temple has a little game, and I just have to watch it at a bar.
We'll be there. We're going to watch it, and then we might potentially play Villanova. And you guys all know what Villanova does in the NCAA tournament, and I'm starting to run a little dry. You see, Flute Girl, she cried a river last year, and as you can see, I'm drinking her tears, but I'm starting to run low, and I need more. So, Temple, you got to win. First of all, you got to win your first round game. Then you got to knock off Nova, and I need to re-up with the tears. So, there you go. All right, first topic at hand today. Let's talk about Chase Daniel. All right, simple question to start. Would you take him over Mark Sanchez?
Yeah, I would definitely take him over Mark Sanchez. I think that we've seen enough of Mark Sanchez over the past 2 years here in Philadelphia. So I think everybody was ready to move on from Sanchez. And, I think the obvious signing was going out and getting Chase Daniel as your backup quarterback because of the connection with him and Peterson with the Chiefs. So, it was a good move by the Eagles. The only part that I, complain a little bit about the Daniel thing is we gave Daniel a lot of money and a lot of guaranteed money for a backup quarterback. But besides that, I think it was a good move, them having him as a backup and, moving on from Sanchez.
Well, Adrian, I would have taken you over Mark Sanchez. So
I don't have any arm strength. I can't throw the ball past like 30 yards. I don't know.
Yeah, you kind of knew the Chase Daniel was coming here. We kind of said it before the free agency even started. But he's got the connection with Dougie P. And he can be a solid game manager. He'll do everything you need him to do. Couple him with a couple of big defensive plays and defense keeping the opponent down and scoring points. Chase Daniel will get you a couple touchdown drives. He'll generate some points for you. He's he's unproven. He's only got one career touchdown, but he only really made 2 career starts. So he's in the offense that fits him as perfect as possible. With he knows the offense that Doug's bringing in. So yeah, obviously I would take him over Mark Sanchez.
Oh, Marky Mark. Everybody hates Marky Mark, and as do I. I can't stand the guy. I did a feature the other day on Chase Daniel, 2 career starts. I watched both of them. I've got clips in this story. Again, I will provide the link in the description box. Here's what I saw. I saw a guy with, he doesn't have the best arm talent in the world. He's not always accurate, but the big difference, the big, huge difference between he and Sanchez is you're not going to see Daniel make mistakes. He's very conservative. He's smart. He's not going to lose a game. He's not going to throw that costly interception that sways the momentum to the other side. So that's something we saw Mark do all the time. He tries to fit balls into tight windows, does more than he can do, and it just, that's not what you want from your backup quarterback. So if this team is as good defensively as it appears they might be under Jim Schwartz, then he's the kind of style of quarterback that you want. So again, not that accurate, doesn't have the strongest arm, but I think he could get the job done. And the other thing that surprised me, he can scoot. Oh yeah, he can scoot. He's got some burst to him. So in that one game I saw, he had a little case of the run. So took off for like a big gain. So yeah, again, check out that article.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. With Sanchez, the thing with him is you're always waiting for that crucial interception that he was going to throw, and it just happened time and time again. Obviously, the one game that we all remember is the game, 2 years ago now, down in Washington. He threw that crucial interception when the Eagles really were still alive for possibly, making the playoffs, and that just really put him out of it there when he threw that interception at the end of the game. Then the other interception I think about is this past year, against the Dolphins. Still quite amazing that we ended up losing that game. That's the one where Bradford went down with the injury. Sanchez comes in. Lincoln Financial Field erupts because they love that Bradford got hurt and Sanchez came in. Who knows why? And, well, Sanchez does what he does and throws an interception at the end of the game, and the Eagles end up losing. And, by the end of the season, everybody hated Sanchez. So, Philadelphia, it's a weird sports town sometimes. But I think that everybody is happy now that he's found a new home with the Broncos, and now he can hold hands with John Elway.
Yeah, so about Sanchez, you just knew what you were getting with him. He's done it time and time again for many years. He's been a starter in this league, and he just continues to do the same exact thing. He has a career like 70 touchdowns to 70 interceptions, something around there. He's going to do that every time. He's going to drive you down 70 yards and then throw a pick in the red zone. And at least Chase Daniel, there's such a small sample size, but he's in such a familiar offense, and the small sample size was pretty good, and he can scoot, so I think overall, I would take Chase Daniel 10 times over Mark Sanchez.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just one more comment on the 2 games I watched. There was one instance where the game was tied 24-24 between the Chargers. This was the first time they met because his 2 starts came against the Chargers. Both came in Week 17. But I'm talking about his first start. So it was 24-24. They got the ball back with, I don't know if it was like 2 minutes on the clock, but first 3 throws, 3 straight completions, total 49 yards, got him right down the field. And then I don't know if it was Suckup or Santos. They missed the field goal. So and then the game went to overtime. But it was nice to see that Chase was able to drive them down the field. He matriculated the ball right down the field, and they couldn't score, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, that's it's good to know. At least he could do some things better than Sanchez, it appears. So yeah, glad we have Chase in here, and just make another quick comment here about Chase Daniel is. what you get from Chase Daniel is you get another leader in the locker room, which is key because you could tell right away from, Chase Daniel in his introductory press conference here in Philadelphia that he was really excited to get to Philadelphia. He even moved up his flight time, and he got here earlier because he wanted to explore the city. He wanted to get to know what Philadelphia is all about. So with Daniel, you also get a leader, and I don't think you really got that with Sanchez. Sanchez was not worried about leading. I don't know what the hell Sanchez thought about, but it wasn't about leading a football team.
Yeah, I mean, Chase Daniel fits in Philadelphia like a glove. The only thing I could say is, he's a little overpaid, but a lot of it's incentive based, and I don't really know the exact numbers of how it's going to span out, but I know he's on the cheap for this year, and then I think he might be getting upwards of $7 million a year the following couple of years. But I mean, how can you hate a guy? He's a smoke bomb of a wife too. Did you ever check her out? So it's another smoke bomb comes to Philadelphia. Too bad she's taken, but yeah, I am very happy Chase Daniel's here. You want to have two solid options at quarterback, and Sanchez was not a solid option. So yeah, I'm happy he's here.
One last point on Daniel. I really love this one quote from his press conference that he had. He talked about how he always pushes the starter, and how he talked about Drew Brees his first couple years when he was with the Saints, and he would always tell Drew Brees, like, I'm coming after your job, dude. I'm coming after it. And Drew Brees is like this all-pro, and Chase Daniels this undrafted guy out of Missouri, and he's got some moxie to him. I kind of like him a little bit. So we'll see. Again, he doesn't have the arm talent or whatever. It's not the best, but he's got some intangibles, and he's got some swag. And, well, you need swag as a quarterback, so there you go. All right, moving on to another topic, because the hype machine, it's beginning to churn. It's really beginning to churn. Last year, it happened with Kiko Alonso. Kiko, oh, my God, he's a top 5 linebacker in the league. Oh my God, what a great pickup. Chip Kelly's a genius, blah, 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 blah. Well, now we're starting to hear it with Rodney McLeod, the safety. And Greg Cosell went on the Bill Simmons podcast, and he said that McLeod wasn't very far off from Earl Thomas. So all of a sudden that quote is all over Twitter. Everybody on Eagles Twitter loves Rodney McLeod. He's a top 5 safety in the league. It's unbelievable how the hype has just skyrocketed.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. I mean, McLeod, he hasn't even played one snap in Philadelphia, and everybody loves the guy. All of a sudden, he's gonna be this great safety. People are, they're on Twitter. They're showing vines of his hit on Emmanuel Sanders, and people are just going nuts. So I think this is one of those moves where people need to pump the brakes a little bit. We got to be a bit cautious with this. Like you said, we have to learn from the Kiko Alonso experiment. Now, yes, Kiko was coming off a knee injury, so that was a little bit different. But with McLeod, I think that you're going to get a good safety. I think that's what you're going to get. I don't think you're going to get a great safety, but I think you're going to get a good safety. So I think people should just be happy with that. I think if you can, have him, and then you have him paired with Jenkins back there, they could be one of the top duos in the league.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched like a 6-minute clip of just McLeod highlights and hits and all this, and I got slightly aroused. I mean, it was great. But everyone's all hyped up about McLeod, and he's still a kid. He's only like 25. He'll be 26, I think, when the season starts. But you like what he brings. I think you're going to get a good safety, and with Malcolm Jenkins, I think that's a great combo. We all love what Malcolm Jenkins can bring to the table. Corey Unland's been a good defensive backs coach. Bring him under his wing. These are still young guys. We have a pretty young secondary if you include Eric Rowe in there too with McLeod now. And he can hit. I like how he can. Scout said that he can like make calls and read what the offense is doing pretty well. He's a smart smart kid, and having him next to Jenkins, is the veteran who can make all those reads. He's pretty much the man in the secondary to make those reads. But working them two together, I think, yeah, I mean, the potential is high, very high. But as far as making him a first-team All-Pro next to Earl Thomas, yeah, you got to pump the brakes a little bit.
Just prove it. Just prove it. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to see. Just prove it. Do it on the field. His press conference, it's another thing he said. He said that he and Jenkins have the potential to be the top safety duo in the league. I mean, I love the confidence. That's great. I love that. So that's good. But, the thing about highlight videos is, well, they're highlight videos. You see the best of the best. You don't see the worst of the worst. And, you see a vine of him making this huge hit. Okay, that's great. Hit the shit out of Emmanuel Sanders. But let's just see. All right, he's a good player. I don't think he's a top 10 safety. I don't care what Pro Football Focus says. He was ranked 10th last year, but prove it. Do it on the field. I'm not getting suckered in by the hype. I'm not going to allow it to happen. All right, so Kiko Alonso didn't turn out to be anything. We'll see about McLeod.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that where people should get excited is pairing McLeod with Swartz. I think that's a good pairing, and I think that Swartz can really bring out the best in McLeod. So I can see where people really want to get hyped because of that scenario, and it's also a good pairing having McLeod with Jenkins because both of them can play up in the box if needed, and that's really what the Eagles need under Swartz. So McLeod, he's for most of his career, he's played back. He's been single high safety. So you're probably going to see Jenkins probably a lot more in the slot this year, playing up at the line of scrimmage, and you'll probably see McLeod is the only guy back. So but the good thing is McLeod can play up too on the slot. So I think we just have to be cautious here. Don't want to get too pumped up or anything, but I think that they got a pretty decent option for a good price with McLeod.
Yeah, I'm with you, Adrian, too. Like, it's proven on the field. I would love to see it. And just make it happen. Learn as much as you can, kid. And with Schwartz, like Mike said, it is a great pairing because you can see the fire and the attacking nature that McLeod has, and that's the word that Schwartz loves to use with his defense, an attacking defense, and him on some blitzes, And he's a little on the smaller side, but I mean, defensive backs aren't always, huge. I mean, there's not every so often you see a Dawkins whose arms are bigger than my head. But I think he'll do just fine. And like Mike said, is a good deal. It's affordable, and for what the potential is, the upside, it's definitely a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been underrated. Nobody knew who he was in St. Louis. Always been a good player, but it's just, the hype train, it started, it's churning, and it's the same thing as last year. Kiko's top 5 linebacker, Sam Bradford's the next Drew Brees, blah, 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 blah. I don't give a shit. I want to see it, all right? All right, that's it. Nolan Carroll got brought back. He's going to be back for he signed a 1-year deal yesterday, so he's going to be back in the mix. So now you got Leotis McKelvin, you have Nolan Carroll, you have Jalen Watkins, you have Eric Rowe, and, Rock, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, well, I think that everyone has to be happy here with bringing Nolan Carroll back. And I'll tell you what really helped is, Nolan Carroll actually getting injured last year was kind of a blessing in disguise for the Eagles because there really wasn't that many suitors for him as there would have been if he stayed healthy for the entire season. So, Carroll's options were limited here, and he decided to come back to the Eagles for a really good price. The Eagles got him on the cheap, really, because of that injury. And, the beginning of the year, Nolan Carroll was probably, the best corner we had. And then the second half of the year, Rowe was the guy that kind of took over. So, I'll say that I feel a lot better knowing that our starting corners are probably going to be, Rowe and Carroll, and that's a lot more confidence than I had in going into the season with Rowe and McKelvin. You really don't know what you're going to get with McKelvin. He's kind of a wild card. He's a fringe starter, so you don't know if he's really going to work out. So it was really key to get Carroll in here because they were really desperate for depth at that cornerback position. And, going into the draft, you don't know if you're going to be able to, get a cornerback like Hargraves from Florida at that 8th pick. So, yeah, it's always good to get that depth now while you can, and then they can get some more depth, if not in the first round in the draft, possibly in the middle rounds.
Yeah, I love that he visited Dallas and then ended up coming back here too. So, he didn't turn to the dark side like Cedric Thornton, but he was close. So, yeah, I'm glad we brought Carroll back. And, we went from paying Byron Maxwell, just about $10 million would be this year, to having the overall maybe the cheapest bunch of corners in the league. I mean, the highest paid one is making $2 to $3 million, and then you got Rowe and Watkins, and everybody's on the cheap still on their early rookie deals. So I mean, financially, this all makes sense. We brought Carroll back on a 1 year. I think it was 2.5 million. He can make up to 3 million. With if you play, I guess it's how many starts he has because he was injured last year. But yeah, it was kind of a blessing in disguise getting him on the cheap this year, since he got that fracture in the middle of the year. And yeah, he played well. I always liked Nolan Carroll, so I definitely feel a lot better about the depth at our position. It's it's important.
Yeah. And the other misconception here is because we signed Nolan Carroll, all of a sudden some people are like, well, that means they don't have to draft Vernon Hargreaves. It doesn't necessarily mean that at all. If you draft a rookie cornerbacks, it's the toughest transition to make any position from college to the pros. So Hargreaves is a guy you can kind of groom on the bench for a little bit if you want. You could really bring him along slowly if you decide to draft him. And Carroll's only back for a year. So that's another point I wanted to make there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if anything, when I saw that they were bringing Carroll back, it actually increased the odds that they would get a guy like Hargreaves in the draft, in my opinion, because, like you were saying, cornerback is a tough transition, and it would really allow the Eagles to kind of sit Hargreaves on the bench, play him sparingly here and there, but he could really, learn the ropes. A lot like what they did with Rowe last year. I mean, Rowe, they sat for a little bit, and then he was kind of forced into action, and he had some early speed bumps, but after those early speed bumps, he got settled in. So, by re-signing Carroll, it doesn't prevent them from taking a cornerback early in the draft.
Oh yeah, if Hargreaves is there at 8, you're gonna have to think long and hard about still taking him. I mean, he's right there around number 2 or 3 of possible guys that would be there that I would pick, just behind Stanley, and maybe Miles Jack. So, there's all this talk now with Ezekiel Elliott maybe taking him. I mean, who knows what we're going to do with that 8 spot? But if Hargreaves is there, I think it's a great move. To eventually down the road have if Eric Rowe improves again this year and Hargreaves in a year or two gets the NFL under his belt a little bit. I mean, that could be a great corner tandem. Like maybe we might finally have our Troy Vincent and Bobby Taylor again.
Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility at all. So it was you pair Hargreaves and Rowe up. Oh yeah, that's a dynamite duo there potentially. All right, moving on. Eagles signed a wide receiver today. They finally got their deep threat that they've been missing since Deshaun Jackson. Signed Chris Gibbons to a 1-year deal. You might ask, who the hell is that? Well, he's not really a highly regarded receiver, but this is the move that was expected because, I know a lot of people wanted Mohamed Sanu and Marvin Jones and all that stuff. Here's the thing. They're average receivers, all right? It's an average wide receiver free agent class. So you don't want to overspend for average. That's not what you want to do. So it's kind of like how the safety spot was last year. Wasn't a great class. Guys were getting overpaid. Marcus Gilchrist, guys like that were getting overpaid, too much money. So I think it was better off what they did, sign Givens. And if you compare it to last year Miles Austin got $2.3 million. Chris Givens got $840,000. Chris Givens is greater than Miles Austin. Give it to me every day. So that's the point I wanted to make there. And one other point is because the offense, a lot more utilization of the tight ends, a lot more utilization of the running backs. The wide receivers, you can kind of mask their deficiencies a little bit. So it's a solid signing. I don't hate it. Some people are complaining, but Philly fans, that's all they do is complain.
Yeah, I mean, if you before this signing today, if you went on to the Eagles website and looked at our depth at the wide receiver position, I mean, after your top three guys, I mean, we pretty much had Joe Dirt from off the street playing wide receiver for us. So the Eagles had to do something. They had to get a veteran wide receiver in here. Now, Givens is not really a veteran. I mean, he's only been in the league for a few years, but it still counts as a veteran wide receiver. The thing with Givens, they got him because, well, number one, he's cheap. And the wide receivers out there this year on the free agency market weren't good besides the top two, and even the top two weren't great. So they wanted to get a cheap guy, and the thing with Givens, too, is that he's played with Sam Bradford before, so that's a plus, and that was a key reason for him coming here. He even said it today in his press conference. And the other thing is, Givens is a deep threat, something that we need badly here in Philadelphia. And another thing about Givens is his best season was his rookie season with the Rams in 2012 when he ended up with 698 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. And ever since, his stats have gone down some, but it just shows you, the potential that he could have. And the other thing about the deep threat is during that rookie season, he had 5 straight games where he had a catch of 50 yards or more, which is key. So hopefully you bring Givens in, pair him with Bradford. Maybe they can kind of recreate some of that history that they have together. We can't expect Givens to light the world on fire here, but I think that we can expect him to do more things than Miles Austin did.
I remember Chris Givens from one particular weekend. I needed a win in fantasy football. The waiver wire was short. Rams had a decent matchup. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a flyer on Chris Givens. He can, he can make that one catch. That's all I need. That's all I want out of mine. He was like going to be my third wide receiver for that day. I just need something for my wide receiver 3 spot. And boom, sure enough, like in the first quarter, he got over a 50-yard touchdown. It was probably that year in 2012. This was years ago. But, it's good that we got him on the cheap, like 800-some thousand for 1 year. He runs a 4.40. So, we haven't had that guy here since Deshaun Jackson. And, it's good that he has the rapport with Sam Bradford. We need the depth at the position, and we probably should still draft a wide receiver. I think, if he moved back in the second round, I like the kid out of Notre Dame, or we can use a third-round pick. But I definitely think we need more depth at that position, and I'm glad we didn't overpay for the likes of Sanu and these average receivers. Adrian's right. They got contracts that they didn't. These were career 2 or 3, second or third string receivers. They don't deserve that kind of money. So overall, I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, and Mike bringing the nugget of the day. The nugget of the day presented by Trogue Nugget Nectar. Absolutely delicious beer, by the way. Sex in your mouth, literally. But yeah, I love that stat. 5 receptions, 5 straight games of a 50-yard reception. That was a rookie record. So he's got a career yards per reception mark of 16.6. He's a deep threat. He'll stretch the field. Obviously he's not a great receiver. I mean, he's not even good, but he's the best option that was out there basically for that price tag. So he's better than Miles Austin. That's all that matters. All right, so there you go. Moving on. Nick Fairley he's been in the rumor of possibly coming to Philadelphia. Obviously, a disciple of Jim Schwartz, played under him in Detroit. And if they can get Nick Fairley in here, that would be a fairly good signing.
Oh, yeah. I see what you did there, and that it would. But, if Eagles Twitter has, kind of been getting a little bit crazy here about the Nick Fairley signing. Now, let's be honest. Now, if we do sign Nick Fairley, this isn't anything to start jumping up and down about and doing jumping jacks and pumping your fist. I mean, it would be a good signing, but this guy would come in here. He would be a good death piece along that defensive line. It would be a good signing because it would be a good rotational signing. The guy could come in, rotate with Fletcher Cox and Benny Logan. So if they can get him in here, and it would probably be at a decent rate, then yeah, it would definitely be a good signing. But it's not something to go nuts about. But yeah, there's a lot of speculation right now. That last night, it seemed like it was almost a done deal that Fairley was coming to Philadelphia, and then Schefter, he kind of threw some water on the fire today and said that pump the brakes a little bit, it might not happen. So not sure where Fairley is right now or if he's even thinking about Philadelphia, but it seems like from the rumors, it seems like they have interest in him.
Yeah, it would be fair to say we have some interest in Fairley. He would be a huge body, to rotate in there if we could get him on the cheap. He's obviously got the experience under Jim Schwartz's defense, the Lions. Didn't really work out. I think he signed a one-year deal last year with the Rams and didn't really work out. So, who knows where I'll end up. I'll definitely take him under Jim Schwartz's defense. I think he'd be a great piece as long as we can get him on the cheap. Maybe like a 2-year deal. It can't hurt. But, we'll see. I mean, I love our defensive line. We're stacked. I throw them in the rotation. That's fine.
Oh, that is more than fine. And then you got Bo Allen in there too. I love Bo Allen and his ponytail. It's delicious. And just that trio of defensive tackles with Fairley and Cox and Logan, that's sexy as hell. So I'd be all for it. It would be a fairly good signing. It really would be. All right, so we're getting near the end here. We're going to keep this show a little bit shorter today. Not a lot of topics to discuss. So we're going to talk a little NCAA tournament. Who are your Final Four picks, guys?
Yeah, tournament time. This was a tough one this year. Really tough to fill out the bracket here. But after filling it out, my Final Four, it ended up I got in Kansas, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, I want so bad to take an 11 seed to the Wichita State to the Final Four, but I mean, yeah, I still went with Kansas, Oklahoma, Kentucky, and Michigan State.
Those are my 4. Fuck you. I'm here's what I'm doing. I am the big pool. I'm in a big pool and I'm in a small pool. Big pool, I got Kentucky winning it all because there's a potential that Kentucky might play North Carolina in Sweet 16. That game would be in Philadelphia. That would be an amazing game. So I'm taking Kentucky in the big one and North Carolina in the small one. So because it seems like everybody's picking the same 4. It's Kansas, it's Oklahoma, it's Michigan State. So I might actually have to change things up tonight. So I might try to spice it up. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's my Final Four for right now. And let's talk about a sleeper Cinderella. What's your big upset in the first round?
Well, let's see. Well, I've got Chattanooga beating Indiana, so that's it.
Wow.
That's a 12-5 there. So I believe that's the biggest upset that I have in the first round. I also have Northern Iowa 11 beating Texas, which is a 6. So, yeah, I would say those two.
Yeah, I got Northern Iowa over Texas as well. And also I like Gonzaga over Seton Hall. Wichita State also beating Arizona. It's another 11 seed. Um, I think St. Joe's would give Oregon a run for their money. I honestly think if they meet.
We went to Temple. We're not allowed to cheer for them.
I'm not cheering for them, but I'm just saying. I didn't pick them, but I'm saying they could make a Sweet 16.
No, I know. I actually kind of agree with you. I cut you off. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So those are my higher seeds. Making a little splash.
A little splashy splash in the tournament. I'll give you guys a team. I'm all about Yale. Give me Yale all day, every day. Justin Sears, Brandon Sherrod, Makai Mason. That's a nice little trio. They got a bunch of white boys. They have the potential of possibly playing Duke in the second round. That's a lot of whiteness on the floor. I got them going to the Sweet 16. That's my big one. I got Gonzaga going to Sweet 16 too. I like Gonzaga. Wichita State's another team I like. So those are the double-digit seeds. I think there's been a lot of talk thinking that there's going to be a lot of upsets, but the thing about the conference tournament week was you had a lot of the top seeds from these conferences. They lost. So teams like Valpo, teams like Monmouth, I love these teams, but they're not in the NCAA tournament. So, and some of the better Cinderella teams that I like, Stony Brook, I like Hawaii. They got tough first-round matchups. Hawaii's playing California, and Stony Brook's playing Kentucky. So not much of a chance for these teams. So we'll see. I mean, I'll probably be wrong. There'll probably be like massive upsets as always, but I don't think it's going to be that ridiculous.
Yeah. You never know what's going to happen in the tournament. The best part about the tournament is always like when there's that first upset. That's always the best part. Then everyone starts freaking out, and the one thing to remember with the tournament is you're not going to win the tournament after the first few days. So you could be doing really well in the first round, get most of your first round picks right, but it's really later on in the tournament when you can win it. So. Once you start getting to the Elite Eight, the Final Four, that's when you want to have your teams in. So you don't want those guys to get knocked out. But it's it's fun to celebrate when you do pick one of those double-digit seeds to win in the first round.
I'm just so excited for like 12 hours straight of college basketball madness for the next 2 days. Like it's going to be amazing, and I hope like a 15 seed takes a 2 out. Day one, Weber State over Xavier. Bring it on. Our former A10 rival, right, with Temple.
Yeah. The Musketeers.
Yeah. I got to get a Huck the Fox in there, by the way. Huck the Fox. Remember that shirt you had? You still have that shirt?
I'm going to see if I can find it.
They can fuck the Hawks, able to be written on a shirt. Huck the Fox. And I'd love to see a Temple Nova matchup on this weekend. Oh my God, that would be amazing. Iowa's going to be tough, though. Iowa's going to be tough for our Owls.
See, did you get it?
There it is.
There it is. Huck the Fox. And I also got this one for you, Nova guys.
I like this one.
Oh, this one's delicious. Fuck you, Nova.
Oh, man, if it's Nova and Temple this weekend for a Sweet 16 berth, oh.
I'll drink the Flute Girls' tears.
That was great last year. The girl on the flute on national television.
And she's still playing the flute, too, like a trooper. And tears are just streaming down her face. Oh, man. All right, let's do final thoughts and let's get out of here.
Final thoughts is, Well, it's St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. It's the big start of the tournament. So, hopefully, everyone can enjoy it. If you have to work, afterwards you can go to the bars and enjoy it. If you don't have to work and you took off, just get drunk and enjoy the games.
Yeah, I want to wish everybody a happy St. Patty's Day tomorrow. Be safe out there. Don't drink and drive too much. And
drink and drive too much.
Have a few, then drink water. Yeah, don't have a designated driver.
There you go. We will not be sponsored by any rehab clinics.
Yeah, don't pull a Dak Prescott and get a DUI right before the draft.
Yeah, but and go Temple.
Oh, go TU! I can't wait for
3-10. Yeah.
I said this on our show we did yesterday. I'm using reverse psychology. I'm picking them to lose because every time I pick them to win, they lose. So I'm hoping the basketball gods, they listen to me and we're gonna win, and then we're gonna go to the Final Four, and then we're gonna shock the world and win it all.
I would love it. I'll cheer, I'll drink, and I'll watch.
Oh, I can't wait. All right, so we're getting out of here. I don't know how long this show went today. We wanted to keep it shorter, but I don't think it was. I think it still went like 40 minutes. But we're out. Mike Owens, Jeremy Burton, I'm Adrian Fedque. See you guys later. Enjoy. And don't drink too much and drive.